All right, look, this video might be a little tough for some agents to handle, especially all the Karens that love making excuses, because the agent that you're about to meet is living proof that your background, what market you're in, and how much experience you have or you don't have has no barrier on your success whatsoever. In fact, this agent moved from another country, knew no one, and is in one of the most competitive markets in the country, yet he's earning $30,000 a month as a listing agent. And here's the interesting thing. Pay attention to the comments in this video, and you're going to see the low insecure producers get mad. It happens every time I post one of these videos. You see, every time an agent achieves something that the insecure agent wants but hasn't worked for, it highlights their own procrastination, their fears, and their excuses. The success acts like a mirror. Instead of seeing the agent's success story as inspiration, their brain perceives it as shame. But that's not you. You're a student of success. You're the kind of agent who watches a video like this and then actually applies what you've learned to get results for yourself. In this video, you're going to see exactly what this agent is doing to generate 20 to 30 high quality listing leads every month for free. And by the end, you'll be able to model exactly what he's doing for yourself to start producing these types of results. And listen, if you're here, I know you're already the type of agent who's putting in the work every single day, but maybe you're not earning the money that you deserve yet. And if that's true, and I know that's a big if, I'd love to have a conversation with you about potentially being your coach and working with you the same way I worked with the agent that you're about to meet in this video to help you build a 6 or even multiple 6-figure income as a listing agent working 4 to 5 days a week. And so if you're open to that conversation, I'll put a link in the description. So why don't we jump right into it and talk about the things that you're doing right now that you're finding most helpful to go out there and generate new business, new clients, and get new listings.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. I think predominantly just goes back to being accountable every day, cold calling every morning. We've got a Discord group where there's about 5 of us who jump on from at least 9 to 11 every day. So being consistent with that at least 5 times a week. And then I've been, ever since I got into the business, I make sure I'm holding at least 1 to 2 open houses every week, which has helped bringing me leads. So both buyer and seller.
That's great. So yet again, we have another agent who is succeeding at a high level talking about the importance of environment. And in your case, right, it's not always that we can find like-minded agents at the company we work for. So your Discord, your environment that you've created, your accountability group to prospect together, talk about how powerful that's been and how you went about finding that community.
Yeah, all through you guys, to be honest. I think the initial call I had with Ben is I was looking for something more because I'm in a great office. I'm in one of the top offices in Orange County where I am. But there's no one cold calling. There's no accountability for me. So I was kind of holding myself accountable. And I knew speaking with other people in the group, I've got a couple of good friends who are with you guys, just knowing how they're being pushed. So that's what I was looking for. So when I joined, I just put it into school if anyone's open to a Discord group, and everyone, there was like 8 agents all jumped in. So I think there's about 5 of us who've been very consistent with it, which is great. And we've got a text chain. It's like, hey, I called for this long, spoke to this many contacts, set this appointment. So just the accountability aspect is really good.
So before you joined the inner circle, were you trying to prospect by yourself? And if so, how difficult is that?
Rough, very rough.
Yeah.
There's just no accountability. Like I would do 30 minutes and then a call would come up. I'd be like, oh, I have to do this. And it's just, I was getting caught in that admin cycle of, oh, I should spend 2 hours on Canva creating 1 Instagram post. I was like, no, you need to pick up the phone and speak to people. That's where the business is going to come from.
Yeah. So, and we're going to talk about where the business is coming from more specifically in a second, but I just want to really, really nail this for everybody here in the live audience or people that might watch the replay is that most agents, I think, have high ambition in that they want to succeed. But the problem is doing it by yourself, to your point, we show up for other people a lot more than we show up for ourselves. And so I really want you to explain to people the idea of getting into one of these environments as fast as possible, because you talk about accountability, but what is it for you specifically that if you show up in this group gets you to actually do the things you know you need to do, where you're unable to do that just on your own? Like, what is it for you specifically? Why are you able to behave better when you jump on a Discord than just by yourself?
I think there's two main reasons for me is I'm extremely competitive. Growing up, I played sports all my life, so that's one aspect. If I see someone set an appointment, I'm like, come on, Carl, come on, keep going. And then it just urges me on to make more calls. And then secondly is it just comes back to the accountability of daily. Like I don't want to fall behind. Maybe just the competitive aspect again. But when I'm seeing someone, it's not like I'm jealous of them getting business. Like like it's awesome when someone puts in a set an appointment. I said, hey, that's great for you. And I was like, no, then I need to go on a set an appointment. So I think it's more the competitive aspect of it. And just having the relationship with other agents, like, oh, that call sucked. I was like, yeah, no worries, get on to the next one. What objections were you facing? So it's just really being live on the call and being able to help each other on the group or via text or whatever it may be.
Because this business is so lonely, is what you mean, in that you're the only agent doing this type of work at your company. You're looked at as probably the weirdo. Oh, it's like, oh, that's the weird guy that makes the phone calls. I mean, truthfully, right? I mean,
Yeah,
and so
yeah,
now you're surrounded with people that actually treat this like a sales business. Is that fair?
100%. And I wish like everyone, like not the grass is always greener, but I should have joined last year. And I kept putting it off and putting it off, and stuff was happening in my life. Like I had a little baby in December, and I was like, oh, I can't do the coaching. I'm not going to have time. But essentially, I should have joined last year when I initially had the conversation with Ben. So
Yeah.
timing's essential.
Yeah, fair enough. And so let's talk about what you're doing to actually generate business. You said something very matter of factly. You said, I find myself sometimes messing around on Canva or making an Instagram post, but I have to pick up the phone if I want to get clients. What did you mean
Mhm.
specifically about that? In that, were there things that you have tried in the past that other people said, hey, you should be doing that didn't work, as well as just direct outbound prospecting? And I want you to be brutally honest.
Yeah, social media. I think when I got into the business, everyone was like, be busy on social, follow as many people as you can, be really creative with your posts. So I was like, yeah, I can do this. It's easy. I was getting no objections. I wasn't getting told to F off on the phones. I was like, hey, I'm just going to play on Canva for a little bit. I've never had any leads come through social at all. I've probably got like 4,000 followers on Instagram and Facebook. I haven't had one lead ever. So I think the realization of that is like, oh, I've got no business. Like I need to speak to people who I want to do business with. And that's the urge that, hey, just pick up the phone. It doesn't matter if you don't set any appointments today, just keep going every day. Every day is going to be different. But as long as I'm spending time on the tasks that's bringing me business, yeah, I can delete camera off on the phone. I'm good.
And correct me or tell me if I'm right. In doing so, you've been able to generate over $250,000 income this year doing this type of work. Is that fair?
Yeah, GCI today, closing pending is just under 320.
So you've already cracked 300. So yet again, this is another person, you, that has proven that direct to consumer prospecting has been the most effective lead generation. Why do you believe that the industry fights this so much, and that they lead agents to believe that they can just passively post on social media versus telling them the truth as to what it really takes to go out there and win listings, in your opinion?
My opinion, people don't like handling objections and getting told no. I think that's huge. I think a lot of agents I speak to, even in my office, I'm like, oh gosh, I can't believe you make cold calls and speak to like random people. I was like, where is your business coming from? I was like,
Right.
I think my mindset is a lot of these agents are going on social media and they've closed a few deals and now they're coaches and they're like, oh, I've got this plan for you. You post this much, you email this, but you don't actually go out and speak and interact with homeowners that you want to work with.
Yeah.
So I
It's
think it's
just,
very misleading.
yeah, well, it's super misleading because the, I mean, there's a large portion of people in our industry that don't believe they're in sales. That's the problem. And so if you don't
Yeah.
believe you're in sales, then you are not going to buy into the idea that you need to do sales activities. Like if you and I were sales reps at, call it, company X, doesn't matter. You just pick a company. We would be expected to be prospecting every single day and meeting with people. But if you don't believe you're in sales, then you cannot accept the fact that you need to be prospecting. Okay, so let's move on and talk about what type of prospecting you're doing. So, do you do any type of targeting when it comes to lead generation, or what types of sources of business are you prospecting?
Yeah, predominantly over the past few months, I've been targeting, so just sold, so just dropping a pin and circling around the neighborhood, circle prospecting in the neighborhoods that I want to work, or we've had past sales in, or if we've got a buyer looking in that neighborhood. Absentee owners out of state, I like because they're clueless of what's going on in the local market. So I feel like that's an easier conversation. And then downsizers. I've just pulled a couple of lists and put them into Enzo yesterday, so I'm going to be hitting them as well.
I mean, that's amazing. So you do a ton of targeting. So if we can break this down just a little bit more, you're calling a couple of sources that are my favorite sources of business. And you're going after what we would call middle or top of funnel business versus like a lot of people that are doing, FISBOs, expireds, bottom of funnel. What was it for you that made you make a business decision to say, I'm going to go after middle and top of funnel sources versus messing around with FISBOs and expireds? I'm just curious for you, what was it?
Yeah, in our market here in Orange County, there's very limited expired, cancelled, and withdrawn, very limited. And I
Okay.
know I would say at least 25 agents just off the top of my head who are hitting them every single day. So it's extremely competitive. I still reach out to expireds, but I don't call, I text. And based on a simple text that I've sent, I've been able to get 3 listings this year from expireds just via text. And I can go into detail about that later. But yeah, the low hanging fruit is very limited here in Orange County. So that's why I've kind of made the business decision of hitting the middle and top.
That's great. And
And I
so,
know it's a longer term. I know it's going to be longer to get that transaction, but if I'm hitting enough numbers daily, then it'll accumulate.
well, yeah, it's going to accumulate and it's quality over quantity. And so the
Mhm.
conversations and leads you're getting are probably with people that don't have a realtor. You're not competing for the business. The urgency to run out there and pitch them and having to get listings in areas that are less than desirable. There's a bunch of downside going after bottom of funnel that you don't have to mess with when you're going after the lead sources that you're going after.
Can I
So,
ask a quick question? That was all right with you?
oh, someone's going through the drive-through. Okay, so you said out of town absentee owners. It's probably one of the greatest lead sources that I think people are missing. What is your approach to that conversation specifically?
It's just, I just go into the conversation thinking they're absolutely clueless of their property's value and they have no idea what's going on in the market.
Mm,
So I just feel like it's a soup. Like if they're on the East Coast and we're on the West Coast, I'm like, oh God, you never guess what's happening on the market with home prices. And they're like, oh yeah, tell me. And the majority of them are going to be investment properties, and the majority of them, the tenants are paying way less than market value. So
mm.
as soon as you start talking about the property's value or what they could be bringing in on a monthly basis, I feel like they're a lot more open to the conversation.
Yeah, that's great. And so, give us an idea of like how much prospecting do you do every day? Like, do you do it for a couple hours a day? What does that look like?
Yeah, 1 to 2 hours every day. I normally try definitely hit at least an hour in the morning. And then I try and keep my appointments in the afternoon. So all appointments in the afternoon and prospect and follow up in the morning. But if something comes up, then I'm jumping on in the afternoon to get 2 hours a day.
Okay. So when we look at lead conversion, I want to give the audience a really good idea of, okay, if these conversations that you're having, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think you'd probably agree are much easier than calling an expired or for sale by owner because there's just a lot less resistance or competition. What is your conversion rate? Because it is so easy for me to sell an agent out of never calling an expired again. Like they're like, yeah, sign me up. I'd rather not ever have to deal with those people ever again. But to your point, the downside is conversion timelines. Can you share with us just like what your contact to lead ratio might look like? So if you talk to, how many people does it take you to generate a lead?
No, I think it depends on the lead source where I'm calling too. I believe absentee out of state, my conversion rate is higher. I don't have the exact numbers, but I'm normally hitting 15 to 20 and maybe getting one lead out of it. So I was calling yesterday, I hit 14 contacts and got a lead out of it. They're 6 months out because they're going through renovations, but it's a solid lead.
All right, so you're about 5%. And that's what I've always said to everybody. If you can be above 3%, the need to call bottom of funnel goes away. So this is for everybody here that's on the live audience. Like if you have a 3% or more contact to lead ratio on middle or top of funnel business, the need to mess around with expireds is goes away. Okay, now I want to really unpack the conversation, because it's one thing for somebody to say, okay, I buy into this, I've got to do some prospecting. I can't just wait around and post on social media and hope for the best. And that person says, okay, I start making these phone calls, but they don't really go that well.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about some of the skills that you've developed through the work that we've done together that's helped you to navigate these conversations with absolute strangers that allows you to get them to open up to you. Like, what skills have been most helpful?
Obviously the script book. As soon as I received that when I joined, I heavily invested time in going over the scripts and not making it sound like a robot. And I have a long, long way to go. I'm not saying I'm anywhere near perfect. I never will be, but I feel a lot more confident jumping on calls now. And I think the big one that I took away is just from the many videos you've done is just the realization not everyone wants to sell their house with you. And it's that hopium that you always talk about. It's like trying to keep them on the phone call and trying to dig as much as possible. It's like, no, we're not selling. This is a forever home. All right, cool. Next, jump on to the next one. So I think just going through the script, getting very comfortable with the script and the objections, and the reverse selling model in general. I'd never heard of that before. I was doing probably the complete opposite when I used to cold call, not having a clue what to say or where to take the conversation. So I think going through the script and getting very comfortable with that, and again, going back to the Discord group and hearing other agents, and like, oh, that was cool, I'm going to take that. Oh, they opened with that line, I'm going to take that. So it's just taking little nitbits from everywhere and kind of gelling it all together and getting comfortable with whatever script or whatever conversation I feel comfortable with.
Yeah. Did you put like what kind of work did you put into either preparation or like skill development? Like, do you role play? Do you chant? Do you write your scripts? Do you record your own phone calls? Do you guys go back and listen to calls? Does the Discord group have ride-alongs where it's like, dude, I'm just going to listen to you all day today? There's a couple little tactical things for everybody, but do you guys do anything like that?
Yeah, so I role play with one of the agents. We jump on and it'll just be like a random call. Or just call me and like, hey, up, like, is this Callum? And then just jump straight into it. So role playing Discord, yeah, you'll see some of us just jump off the call and just go on mute, and you'll just listen to each other. I love doing that because I always take something from someone else. Yeah, and I've just started using Enzo dialer. So that records every call anyway. So as soon as I finish with my call session, I jump back in. I was like, oh, I could have done that better. And I'll go and cross out something on the script and then change it. So it's just constantly trying to evolve with every conversation I'm having.
That's great. All right. So let's talk about your tech stack, which is another huge question that the agents in the community have, which is, okay, where are you getting contact data for these lead sources? Let's start with that and then talk about what other tech you're using for your prospecting.
So batch leads, again, this is super recent because I was with Mojo. So with Mojo, I've been using that the past 2 years, triple line dialer. So it was just pulling the information through Mojo. But then I saw your call with the Enzo and I was just like, Jesus, 14 lines. So a couple of agents tested it and said they were using batch leads. So batch leads to pull the data. And again, you can filter it for downsizing a specific neighborhood. Again, out of state absentee owners, you can really filter it down into the list that you want to call. And then just dropping that into Enzo and then using the Enzo dialer. I also use MailChimp. I've been using that for a long time. So I've got nearly 3,000 contacts in there and they're getting hit at least twice a month. With my newsletter.
Good for you. That's amazing. You got 3,000 people on your email list?
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal.
And I get about a 20% open rate.
Yeah, that's super solid. So you're getting 600 people to see you, to hear from you, to be top of mind twice a month. So essentially 1,200 top of mind. We're going to get back to that in just a second. But going back to batch leads for a second, the question is, everybody wants to argue to the death of like, this lead source is better than that, and et cetera, et cetera. What have you found that it's because I think the offer that they have is either $100 or $120 for essentially 10,000 records per month, which is really, really reasonable. Have you found the data quality is serviceable? There's no platform that is perfect, but did you find it that it's serviceable? And by serviceable, I mean most of the time, 80-90% of the time, it's the right contact information.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
That's
I
pretty
really
good.
like batch leads. And it's a super user-friendly system too. So I actually don't even pay for the full month. I split it with another agent in the program, Brandon. So
There
we
you go.
just split it and I think we've got 20,000 contacts between us. And we
Yeah.
don't hit that every month. We call every single day and we never hit that number.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. And then you use Enzo as your dialing system. Now, talk to us about contact rates, because this is really important, right? So most people are averaging 7 contacts per hour. How many have you ended up averaging now that you've been on Enzo for a few months?
At least 15 to 20 an hour.
15 to 20 conversations an hour. So in 2 hours, you're able to have 30 or 40 contacts. Is that right?
Yeah.
It's
And
incredible.
previously I was using Mojo, triple line diner, and it was between 7 to 10 on a great day, an hour.
Wow, that's incredible. And there's a lot of agents that just aren't tech savvy, and so they're like, "Oh, the Enzo, the platform, I can't figure out how to use it." I mean, that's like anything. If you would probably agree. What's just been your experience getting on board with them? Like, is it that difficult for you, or obviously you figured it out?
Yeah, no, it's not. And they walk you through every step and they walk you through how to use the system and how you download the file and drop it into Enzo, into the campaign and user profiles. And they record the call. So there's some days I'm like, oh crap, I forgot how to do that. So I just go in, watch the 20-minute call, fast forward to the bit where I forgot how to do it. And it's essentially, it's like everything, it's going to take time to get used to. I'm still getting used to it. I've been using it for probably 2 months. But it's a really good system. I'm really enjoying it at the minute.
Okay, so is it fair to say that you're getting roughly 20 high quality seller leads per month through your lead generation efforts? If you get one a day on average?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
again,
I would say between 15 and 20 a month.
I mean, that's incredible, because to be fair for the audience, these are not leads that you're going to some company paying for. You are using your skill set to go out there, target exactly who you want to work with. Like, you're building the perfect client avatar, going out there, using a conversation through some of the things that we've worked on, and generating a voice-to-voice conversation, and define for the audience what we mean by lead.
A lead is someone who's got motivation, who's actually going to make a move.
That's great.
Yeah.
They have motivation. And is it also fair that you're disqualifying them from having an agent already?
I'm trying to push them away as much as possible on that call.
Yeah. Tell us what that means. Push them away. What does that mean?
Just like, oh, you're not like, you're in the forever home, right? You're never going to move. Like, this is the perfect home for you. Or when you do decide to sell, oh, you already have an agent in mind, right? There's no point in us even meeting, and just keep trying to push, push, push. And then it's like they get reeled in and get reeled in and then get ready to set the appointment.
And, you say it so like matter of factly, but it's what's interesting is when you referred to reverse selling, you said, I was doing it completely the opposite way. Like, I want you to really be honest and share with people like how different that has been for you to have these conversations versus trying to convince people to like come your way. You're doing the opposite. Like, how big of an impact has that been with the conversations that you have?
Yeah, it was definitely a mindset switch for me. It kind of threw me off before
Yeah.
I was making calls. I was like, you want me to do what? Say what? I was like, I'm trying to get these people to work with me, not push them away and say that Uncle Sally is going to work with them. Like, it just didn't make sense to me. But I think the more conversations I have and the more interest I get from the prospects on the phone, it's like, oh, it does work. It does make sense. And I've been able to set appointments through that. One of them was like, oh, yeah, you must have a realtor you already work with, right? You lived there for 32 years. Surely you know someone. Like, oh, we did, but they actually just left the state. And it's just opening the conversation and letting the client take over instead of me just vomiting everything to them.
So now that it's clicked for you, like what was it that, because every single person I teach this sales methodology to says the same thing. Like, I just don't really grasp it. Like, it sounds like I'm kind of trying to push them. It's like, that's exactly what you're trying to do. You are using psychology to your advantage. And so, what was like the turning point in your mind that says, oh, I actually get it now?
I think I can't remember when the call was, but it was a super high price property. It was like 5 point something million property up in Huntington Harbor. And I was just like, and it was just coming down to the agent again. It came up and I was like, even if you did decide to sell, surely you wouldn't have an agent, right? You've been there, it was the 32 years. no, like, oh yeah, they just moved out of state, and then they just started vomiting, like, oh, actually, if we did, we would move to the state they moved to, and it was just open their mind and the possibility of selling instead of me saying, oh, I can be your agent. I've sold this many houses. I can help. I'm sure I can. It's letting them having the realization, like, oh, he might be interesting to go and meet too, and he might be a good fit for us when we do decide to sell.
It's great. So the technique that you're referring to is called elicitation. And so it's forcing people to correct you. It's strategically getting people in a position to correct you and set the record straight. And so we use this reverse presumptive language to do that, to get the person to say no on purpose. Okay, now let's shift gears. Let's talk about lead follow-up. I want to talk about the importance of it, what you're doing, specifically what you're doing with your email newsletter, what type of content you're putting in there. So walk us through, like, from a high 30,000 foot view, your follow-up system, because most of your business is nurture business. And so if you don't follow up, you don't get anything. Would that be fair?
Yeah, 100%. So as soon as I have any initial conversation or meet anyone at an open house or meeting down the street, they go straight into my MailChimp. So straight away, they're in there and they're going to be receiving a detailed report on the Orange County market twice a month. Just briefly, the newsletter itself is just a little heading of me, and then it's all our active listings, and then it dives straight into the report. There's a local economist here, Stephen Thomas. He sends out a report every 2 weeks. So I literally just copy and paste his report. That's all I do. Copy, paste, change everything, and then blast that out 2 times a month. And then I go back in if I send that out on the Monday, I go back in MailChimp on a Tuesday, see who opened it more than 3 times, and then I send them a personalized message via text, or I try and call them, or through email. I'm kind of old school with my follow-up. I just use Google Sheets, like an 8x8. I've done
Great.
Follow-up Boss. I've done Sierra Interactive. I've done all these programs, but this is where I have my top line of business, where I think it's really going to be coming from. And I'm not just following up every day, like, hey, just checking in. Hey, how can I help? It's like having the initial conversation. When does it make sense for us to talk again? So getting them to tell me when they would like me to follow up with them, instead of me becoming a desperate agent, following up with them every week for no point with no value.
It's great. It's amazing. And I love the system because, yeah, it's you start to pile in all this technology with your lead follow-up, and it's like out of sight, out of mind, and stuff starts falling through the cracks, which is supposedly why the CRMs exist, right? But it makes, I think, conversion drop dramatically. This is probably the argument that Ben and I have on most days. I'm just kidding, Ben. Wink, wink. But like, Excel is great. You know, it's like, have your 15 people right there, and it's like you can't forget who they are. And then the email. This is a huge nugget for like the 3 people that are paying attention on the live audience. If you send your email out, you will get a report on who's opened that email. This tells you who are the people engaging with your content, which then drives your next action. So I want to be clear with the audience. You don't get the open report from MailChimp and then call the person to say, oh, I just saw that you just opened my email. That would be creepy. Yes, you're calling and it's just a coincidence that they are engaging with the email. Fair? Am I right or am I wrong? Like, you don't call them and say, hey, I just saw you just opened my email. Do you want to sell? Oh, did I lose you guys again? Oh, okay.
No, the complete opposite.
Yeah.
So no, definitely don't even mention the newsletter in the follow-up.
Yeah, makes total sense. And, you know, if we transition out of lead follow-up into the listing appointment, right, which is the thing I think that makes all the difference as to whether or not, or a better way to put it is, I believe your income in this business is a reflection of your listing presentation. I believe that with every ounce of my soul. Talk to us about your listing presentation, how you're able to show up as a leader at a listing appointment, and some of the things you've learned through the work that you and I have done together.
Yeah, I think the one big aspect that I've taken away is the price bracketing. And I'm sure you can explain that in way better detail than me. But that was one thing that stood out to me when I was going through the training. My presentation is pretty simple. I don't go to sell. It's just a conversation. I barely speak in the presentation. I let them take reins. I essentially go, I have a folder, I have a PDF, like a bio, my resume, 5-star reviews, like 4 pages. If it's in the city where we work, Huntington Beach, I'll put a pamphlet in there explaining that we've sold more homes than anyone else this year, just trying to provide value. But I don't sit there and flick through it. I leave that with them. And it's just having the conversation. I get there, I'm like, hey, I'm Callum, nice to meet you. Can't wait to show me the home. Let's go. And it's just walking around the home. They're pointing out aspects of the home, like, oh my God, that's incredible. I can't believe you did that there. And then we sit down, it's just having a conversation, again, interviewing them to really see if they're motivated and they're actually going to sell, or is it just having someone around to have a conversation?
Yeah, super smart. And so we've always said the best presentation is the one the prospect never sees. And that's exactly what you're referring to, right? And so that's the whole point of being a great presenter. Really, what that means is showing up as a leader, being the one who's leading the conversation, not by what you say, but by the questions you ask. And that's what you're learning is that if I want to influence this person and interview them versus being interviewed, I have to be the one who maintains the frame by asking the questions. Is that fair?
100%. And just making sure we're keeping the conversation in the direction where we want it to go instead of them railing off talking about the nan's cat or whatever they may. Just take the conversation in a different direction, just keeping it guided.
How do you handle sellers that want to hire you, but they want to list their house at a price that is ridiculous?
I'm kind of at the point in my career where I wouldn't take the listing. If they're adamant on listing at that number and I think it's absolutely insane, I'm not going to waste all the money up front on marketing and photography and videos. So it's just presenting, here are the comparables sold in the last 6 months. If there wasn't that many, I'd pull 12 months, have all the pictures from the MLS, put it in front of them and say, hey, this sold for this much, this sold for this much, whatever it may be. But then digging a little deeper is like they've got that number in their head. Where's that number come from? Why do they need that number? Do they need to net a certain amount of money out of this sale for it to even make sense for them to sell? And then in the back of my head, hey, if they need to make this much, that's just not reasonable in this market. And I'm just going to be upfront and tell them that. I'm like, hey, right now, I don't think that number, you're not going to be able to get that number in this market. Maybe in 6 months, you might be able to get that number. But right now, I think we need to list it here to get the most amount of traffic through the property and to be able to position it in the perfect way we can on the market.
Is it safe to say, Callum, that you show up at a listing appointment and the reason why you have done so well is because you have a willingness to walk away without the listing if they're not willing to be reasonable? Would that be a safe thing to assume?
Yeah, and to be honest, that's only started, I would say, this year. I've been in the business full time since 22. And obviously being full time is scary. Just commission based. There's no money coming in. I've got a wife and a little baby at home. I'm like, I'm going to take any listing possible, even if it sits on the market for 6 months. But I made a decision early this year. Time is money, and I'm not going to waste time on listings that aren't going to sell. And it just doesn't make sense anymore. So yeah, I've actually got an appointment next week, and I've had the conversation. They floated a number to me, which is just insane. It's just not going to be that number. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. And so, but I want to be fair to the audience. You only got to this place having the willingness to walk away, which allows you to own the frame at listing appointments because in the beginning of your career, you were willing to list anything. And it was through the pain of having all these listings with unmotivated sellers that got you to a place to say, I'm not doing that anymore. See, what I'm trying to do is coach agents before they get to that point of pain. Like, what would you tell an agent so they don't have to go through what I've gone through, what you've gone through? How would you explain to an agent that it just isn't worth it just to go out there and take any listing? Even if you're desperate, even if you have nothing going on, like, what would you say to them?
It's just a waste of time. Like, put that time into prospecting. Like, don't go and show a property, or you're going to be holding open houses every weekend for a property that's never going to sell because the seller's not motivated, clearly. Otherwise, they're going to come down to the property's value in the market. I've been there, done it. I'm probably going to do it in the future. If someone comes with an incredible listing, it's going to happen because I'm going to get all excited. But it's just such a waste of time and money, and you can definitely be spending your time elsewhere.
It's great. All right. So we're going to open this up, you guys. You guys can ask Caleb any question that you guys want. But before we do that, if you could go get licensed again in 2022, what would be some things you would have done differently?
Join this program. And I'm not saying that to boost ego. Yeah, 100% it would be. 100%.
Because why though? And I appreciate the kind words, but I'm genuinely curious. Why do you say that?
The accountability aspect, and I want to be surrounded by agents who are going to push me further in the business. I only joined in July this year, but even the 3 months that I've been, the accountability aspect of it and the techniques you use has been life changing in my business.